Yeah, I'm still cleaning up the mess. Got the pump draining out over there. Got the oily mess off my tool bench. Put the evapor rust back in the evapor rust container. Still a little bit left in there. I've got a little bit of seepage coming out of my China plugs on my expansion plugs. Now, granted, you know, I didn't use any sealant on them. I was going to put, I never intended it to be a permanent install, so when I do the permanent install, I'm going to use some Permatex aviation gasket sealer. But I guess that's kind of downside to that is my evapor rust, which I plan on leaving in there for a long time, it will slowly leak out. So, live, I'm going to try to bang those in a little bit more and see if I can stop the seepage. Hopefully I won't knock it all the way in, but hey, let's get that on camera too, right? I mean, we all like to see a good mess up. I can see the leakage coming out of this one right here. So I'm going to just tap that guy in a little bit more. See, part of the problem is this exhaust gas recirculation tube is kind of in a way, makes it kind of hard for me to get a good clean strike. So I just wonder if I didn't. And it's not quite in there as what part I want. Hopefully that'll stop that one. This one's got a little bit. It might just be the nature of the beast trying to do it without any. Watch me nail the whole thing dump. Better quit while I'm ahead. Okay. So the other side's dry. I mean, none of the ones on this side have any seepage whatsoever. All right. Still letting my yellow jacket pump, you know, stop. Got a lot of stuff over here, but I think this is just oil from the massive explosion. I think I'm going to hit all this with some brake clean here in a minute. Make sure I don't see anything weird leaking out. Might as well find it now. I mean, aside from the plugs, I put a jack stand down there under the front of the engine stand because what was happening is the engine was leaning a little bit. So my water level wasn't consistent from the front to back. And ideally, I'm going to just make sure I'm going to add a little bit more evapor rust there, and we'll see if that water level doesn't come up. Right now, those two levels are pretty consistent from the front to back. So I'm going to dump a little bit in here. This one's down about 1/4 of an inch from the very top of the pipe, which is pretty much level with the head. So a little more in there. See if that doesn't come up on the clear pipe, my sight glass, if you will. Okay, now I'm pretty much at the top of the backfill hose. And you can see clearly some evapor rust now is right to here, which is pretty much right where I want it to be. Here, let me get a little bit closer so you can see that better. See that right there? And I'm going to have to free the camera up. Here, I'm going to turn it sideways. Sorry, I forgot about that. But if you look and see the evapor rust line, this line here, oh, you know, it's down a little bit. I think it might be leaking somewhere out. I swear I just saw it up a little bit. I wonder if it's leaking from around here. Let me try that again. Put a little more in. Like I said, there's a seepage issue. So, you know, it might just be the case I'm just not going to get it perfect. Okay, that thing is flush up to the top of the pipe now. I mean, absolutely to the point of just overflowing. Did it come up at all on this side? Yeah, I can see it again. It's right there, just a little bit above the outlet of this little pipe. You can't see what I'm pointing at. It's just here, just above this top of this nipple here. So as long as I can see some fluid above that, and that nipple is almost at the very top of the block, then I'll be good. If that liquid goes below there, then I know I'm below the top of the block and I'm not accomplishing my objective. But like I said, it's pretty level. This one's at the very top of its pipe, which is at the very top of the cylinder block. That one's at the top of that block. My seepage is probably still happening here, but so like I said, I'm gonna stop now. I gotta clean up this whole mess. I got the pump draining out. I just wiped down my whole toolbox, which got soaked with oil. I'm gonna get some brake clean and clean all this mess up, put down some kitty litter on the spilled mess, and try to avoid the hazmat situation of got watery oil all over my garage floor. But I hope this was enjoyable to you, and maybe if anybody decides to do this vacuum out. Yeah, see, it's done drop below there already. It's right there now. I don't know where it's going. If any of you decided to try to duplicate this, get a pull vacuum so you don't have it. The whole idea is I didn't want any air pockets, which I probably wouldn't have had if I just used a funnel and just let it slowly fill up from the bottom. If you try to do that, just be aware of, get yourself either an isolation tank, where you're pulling the vacuum and you have a tank to collect anything that flows over, so you don't have a direct connection to your pump. It probably would have been a smart thing to do, sort of like they do when you're using a hand pump to bleed brakes. Probably could have done something like that. Would have been smart, but what fun is that? If you decide to do this, just be aware you don't want to suck up evapo rust into your nice pump. Anyway, that's it for now. Like I said, it's going to be brake clean city here in a few minutes. I want to get everything as cleaned off as possible so I know what I'm dealing with and I can really see if I have any other kind of weird leaks going on. I mean, I sure hope I don't have any leaks of the evapo rust because there's no pressure on it. This is essentially what the engine would be like if it was just sitting there with coolant. Which, it brings up another point. I was talking about the WD-40 and flushing, blah, 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 blah. What I'm going to do now, I think, is I'm just going to let this sit for a whole day like this. Then I'll go ahead and dump out the evapo rust. I'll try to save it so I can see. I'll probably just turn it a little bit sideways here and pour it out or something like that. Or straight from the block plug, duh. Get all the evapo rust out. Run a flush of water through this. Okay. So now I've got water in there, start the rusting process all over again. As soon as I'm sure I've flushed out all the evapo rust, then I'll knock out all the plugs. And I want to leave the plugs in because it's easier to flush them in. Knock out all the plugs when I get the good plugs. And at that point, while all the plugs open, I'm just going to take some spray WD-40, just kind of jam around there and just spray it all down and get as much of the water dispersed as humanly possible, the regular tap water I'm going to use to flush it out. And I'll also, obviously, I'll shoot it through here and spin the pump because the pump impeller is directly accessed through here. So we'll spray WD-40 in there and spin it. I just don't want to buy a gallon of WD-40 just to dump it. It seems kind of wasteful. Anyway, that's the process. Again, I hope there's some entertainment value for you all. I almost didn't record this, and look what we would have missed. Thanks for watching. Bye.